and with a heart rate readout looking pretty much like this. 5 serious spikes before the fast downhill finish to Morzine, the toughest climb being the final one, the Col de Jouplan. All the more reason for Oscar Pereiro to savour the rollout in the neutral zone before kilometre 0. Now, with 11 men of no particular significance out front on the first climb, the Col de Cézille, Floyd Landis ordered his men to the front of the peloton and wound up the pace. Oscar Pereiro couldn't stay with it, and soon there was a bunch containing all the other contenders and Landis. Soon after that, it no longer contained Landis either, because he attacked off the front. With 127 kilometres and 5 climbs still to ride, it looked like the move of either a desperate man or Superman. Kleuden, Sastre, Evans and company decided it was the former and rode a steady pace, allowing Oscar Pereiro to rejoin them as Landis disappeared into the distance in search of the breakaway group. And after some excellent descending, he joined the escape group and set about eradicating his 8-minute deficit on Oscar Pereiro. Pereiro, meanwhile, was asking for help in chasing him down from the likes of Carlos Sastre and getting absolutely nowhere. CSC and Team Mobile were either confident in their calculations of just how much time they could pull back on the final climb of the Jouplan, or they were playing a dangerous game with everyone's chances. Either way, only Kestepan were doing any work on the front, while Landis, not content with joining the breakaway group, rode away from it, with only Andreas Kleuden's teammate Patrick Sinkovits for company. Not that Sinkovits was working with Landis, just marking him.
We are now on the lower slopes of the Col de Jouplan, or at least the riders, the leaders are. Floyd Landis and Sinkovits have started. I think that was the capture of Christophe Lemavelle. I don't know where he was. He wasn't even placed over Chatillon. But now we've got Jens Voigt making it, as though that was Algon who's gone down the back. So there's only 2 riders now. It's 2 men versus the rest as they climb the Col de Jouplan.
Well, to analyse this race, as far as I'm concerned now, all that Floyd Landis has to do, Phil, is climb 12 kilometres, because over the 12 kilometres, that's the only chance that he's really got of losing any time at all, because on the descent from the summit of Jouplan down into Morzine, the way this man goes downhill, they're not going to pull anything back at all. The leaders of the Tour de France now have got 11 kilometres to try and put things to rights. I'm not sure they can.
We're going to see a big fight. We're going to see the men who have made this Tour de France, Cadel Evans, Andreas Kleuden and Carlos Sastre, maybe Cyril Dessel. They are going to have to attack. Denis Menchov, who's cracked in the last couple of days. They're going to have to attack at the bottom, forget the peloton and try and reduce the lead of Landis. Carnage on the Jouplan is about to happen.
Then Floyd Landis is back in with a chance, and he's popped off Patrick Sinkovits here. The man from T-Mobile has sat on his wheel for the last 100 kilometres, and now this man from the United States of America lives now in San Diego. Floyd Landis has gone off on his own, and he's now flying away to the probable stage victory, and more than likely riding himself back into the possibility of winning the Tour de France this afternoon. He looks back casually there to see, what have I done? Well, I'll tell you what, Floyd, you've cracked Sinkovits, and now you're riding on your own.
These are the riders who can't stick the pace in the room. The kitchen's got a little bit warm right now as they start to split up. This is a horrible fight. Levi Leipheimer, the hero of yesterday for much of it, has also uncoupled at the back. The riders are falling away here. At the moment, the last man we saw at the front was Giuseppe Guerini. T-Mobile seem to have a great team. George Hincapie also finding the pace is getting a little bit hot for him.
Everybody slowly getting popped off the back, one by one. This is Frank Schleck now trying to drag Carlos Sastre. There is the yellow jersey, just a little bit further back. He's out of the saddle. He hasn't got the acceleration. He hasn't got the jump to come across here. Carlos Sastre knew this afternoon that if he wanted to win the Tour de France, he had to get time on everybody else. At the moment, he's gapping Kleuden. He's gapping Menchov. He's gapping the yellow jersey. The yellow jersey, Phil, has lost the power.
The yellow jersey, I think, is riding behind Cyril Dessel, who's 4th overall just now. Michael Bogart is going forward, but he needs to take with him Denis Menchov, and he can't. Menchov can't respond. I think Menchov, we can start to discount now with Sastre, and this is a fabulous piece of riding by the Luxembourger on the front. Carlos Sastre, who was really becoming the #1 favourite to win, has been put on the defensive here, not to mention the Maillot Jaune, who is also slipping, but hanging just.
Well, this is the steep part of the climb. It levels out a fraction once we get into the middle of this climb, but then again, it is savage when you get to the top, Phil. 10% at the summit of the climb. We've gone over 4 climbs of the day. Frank Schleck today sacrificing himself for Carlos Sastre. Sastre started the day 1 minute and 50 seconds down in the overall classification, but that was not counting the great ride done this afternoon. This is now Carlos Sastre out on his own.
Sastre has now got to go it alone. Schleck is giving him a launch pad, has no more left in him. It's now up to Sastre to ride this mountain alone and for the moment be best of the rest. There could be a yellow jersey awaiting Sastre. Right now there is, if he can continue to progress. Remember, the record is 7 different leaders. The next leader, if it's Sastre, will be the 8th.
Well, Sastre needs to make 1 minute and 50 seconds over Oscar Pereira. He starts the day in 2nd place. Cadell Evans there scurrying across the gap. He's onto the wheel, I think, of Christophe Moreau. Again, the reaction's coming. Everybody scrambling, Phil, to keep in the race.
One thing was right. We knew the peloton would implode on this climb. It's an act of desperation. These riders now have been thrown into all sorts of problems by Floyd Landis. The man that they counted for dead yesterday has come right back into the Tour de France. Carlos Sastre on the climb of the Col de Jouplan needs 50 more seconds to be the leader of the Tour de France. He has dropped the yellow jersey by 1 minute. He is closing in on Floyd Landis, but not alarmingly so. This rider for France, Christophe Moreau, is putting up a great performance. Isn't going to affect the destiny of anything. And poor Marcus Foten here has been dropped by that group. He's held that white jersey for so long. Damiano Cunego is now looking to wear it tonight. The Jouplan is having a great say in the Tour de France.
Well, let's try and figure out just exactly where everybody is on the slopes of the Jouplan. The way the race looks at the moment, Floyd Landis is leading Patrick Sinkiewicz by 4 minutes. Carlos Sastre is at 5.5 minutes. Christophe Moreau is at 5 minutes and 50 seconds, and the yellow jersey group is still hovering at around about 6 minutes and 30 seconds. They are all over the slopes of this mountain. 12 kilometers of climb and then 12 kilometers of descent down to the finish. Floyd Landis has showed us he knows how to go downhill very fast, but the time at the top for me is the most important time here this afternoon.
This is Sastre, and at last he sees Sinkiewicz, the man who rode all the way today on the wheel of Floyd Landis. So Sastre is now climbing in 2nd place.
Well, Sastre now into 2nd place on the road, going past Patrick Sinkiewicz. Sinkiewicz, actually, Phil, Sinkiewicz has been given the word, sit up and wait. We need to wait for our man, Andreas Kloden, but now it looks as if the yellow jersey decided to take the responsibility himself.
As he must. An attack by Damiano Cunego, this little rider who said he would win a mountain stage. He's left it too late, I think, but now he's got a new target, and that is the white jersey. Best newcomer to the Tour de France, and Damiano Cunego needs just over 2 minutes on Marcus Foten, and we've seen Marcus drop off. But whatever happens to Floyd Landis at the finish of this race today, he has left his mark on this race. The champion is back, and Carlos Sastre, I think now, is the only man that can do anything to spoil the party. And Carlos Sastre is climbing so well and should be taking yellow tonight.
Well, that's the theory, but the practice is what the clock at the finish line is going to tell us here this afternoon, as Carlos Sastre looks comfortable. Damiano Cunego has caught and passed to Christophe Moreau here. He's riding himself up possibly into the best young riders competition this afternoon. Phil, I just remembered the newspaper headline on the French newspaper the other day. They said about Floyd Landis, they said, well, he's got the yellow jersey, but there has been no panache. There's been no style, there's been no battle. I wonder what they're going to say about him tomorrow.
Well, we were most interested to find out, because he's been the absolute hero as he goes over the top. HC or category, outside category. Landis has done everything possible today. He's led over the Col de Colombier, the Col de Châtillon, the Col de Jouplan. Now it's 7 miles downhill.